When we look at a non-fiction text like this newspaper article, there are two things we have to do. Like every other text, you have to work out what the main idea of the text is, and then, quite often you'll be given a text where there aren't lots of similes and figurative devices being used, so you have to be able to drill down into the text and find things that you can talk about. And it's quite easy once you had some experience doing that. So firstly, once you've read the article, you'll see that the main idea is that food is a way that connects us to our childhood home, or our childhood experience. That food provides us with a gateway to belonging. So the thing is saying that, by having that meat pie, it would transport the Australians living in Boston back to what their life was like in Australia. Okay, and so the first thing we can do is we can look and say, well, what's the tone of the piece? It's quite conversational, it's light-hearted, it's quite a sort of trivial type of article, isn't it? And it certainly, you can also look at it's written from the first-person perspective, and it certainly draws on the nostalgic memories of a simple pleasure that leads us to a sense of belonging. So you bite into that meat pie, or you can smell the meat pie, and it transports you back to your childhood and all those good memories. So when we look at the title, and I think it's always if you can find something in the title when you're looking at these texts, it's very helpful. Home is a palm-sized pocket of pastry. So I can see that there's some alliteration going on there, the palm-sized pocket of pastry. And really, that's reinforcing that a good meat pie can transport you home. So it really tells you the essence of the whole piece. Okay, and so that's a good place to start, and that would get you developing a good argument already. We can come down here and you can see that it says something about the meat pies, the palm-sized pocket of pastry, their golden tops beckoning. So here we've got some visual imagery, the golden tops beckoning. It's also, they've been personified, so you could use one or the other there. And what that does is it's a humorous sort of exaggeration of the impact that they have, the brilliant essence of the meat pie. And it reminds me sort of like the smell of the barbecue at the Bunnings store when they used to be able to happen. The thought of the smell, the anticipation, and that the overwhelming senses of that sausage sandwich are 10 times better than what they taste. So, but there's certainly a connection between the sense of smell and food and connecting to our identity. So it's similar to that. Now, when we look down here, we're sort of been told, walked our way through the experience, and it says, one bite and I was home. So here we've got a short sentence. You could say it's a short staccato sentence, if you like. Sometimes when you've got a number of short sentences together, you can say they're truncated sentences. That one's not quite truncated, it is complete, but it's a short sentence. And it is a playful exaggeration that follows it. 2 days later, I'm the cult member who can't stay away. So here, this is reinforcing the impact that food has on our sense of identity. So it's done through exaggeration, and it's quite playful, isn't it? So we've got this nice statement. I take a bite of the pie and it transports me home, and then I become a cult member. I can't stay away. I'm obsessed by it. That's the impact. It reinforces that idea of how important food is to our sense of identity, or what role it can play. Okay, and then when we come up here, you'll see it's talking about, at the bottom of the passage, that the owner of the pie shop used an unprintable expression that made me feel even more at home. So obviously it's a swear word, but here, many people do not mince words. So we've got, the mince pie, so we've got a pun, so it's a mock serious topic. It's continuing that light-hearted exploration of the point the article's making. Okay, and then we have a nice anecdote being developed here. For me, the pie evokes those rare, glorious days when my mother gave me money to buy lunch at the school canteen. So, that's another thing that you could build in, that if you're building that argument that food is that gateway to childhood memories or to a sense of belonging, then you could talk about that nostalgic memory through an anecdote. There's down here, it says, do you have mushies? And so here we've got colloquial language, or you could call it jargon if you like. And so it's sort of suggesting that, or inferring that, food is so effective at establishing identity that once you start eating those pies, these people in Boston are defaulting to their Aussie accent, and that shows how strong food can have an impact on our identity. And then the very last sentence, basically saying that I hope the place survives. If it doesn't survive, I'm not sure I will. So there's another example of hyperbole. That's an exaggeration. Of course they're going to survive if the pie shop closes up. But what that does, the last sentence of the passage returns to the central idea that food is a means of connecting to our true identity. So despite being on the other side of the world, food has the ability or the capacity to bring us home. Remember, and home is the thing. What is that? What does home encompass? It's symbolic, of our sense of identity. So obviously, you're only going to need to talk about 3 or 4 aspects of language, but that's the way to go about it. And with a little bit of experience, you'll find that you will have no trouble.